Hi everyone in Facebook. Where are my introverts corner? I had to think where I was for a moment. Sorry, I've been busy focusing on another training, and so I didn't actually turn up here ready prepared, but here I am. And welcome to this week's lessons from a lurker. And I'm getting really good at this not lurking stuff at the moment. So I thought I'd start off by sharing a few areas where I'm not lurking. And I thought I'd then ask you for a bit of help. There's a question. Oh, I need to turn that off. There's a question that I need some help with. So I'd really appreciate it if you'd be kind enough to give me some help. I can see a couple of people watching already. So good morning, Carrie from northern Minnesota. I really hope the weather has warmed up for you a bit now. It's beautiful here. It's still a little edge to the breeze, but it's lovely sunshine, and my cat can hear me talking, and now he's scratching at the door wanting to come in. Go away, Max. Go and lay down. Mad Max. Anyway, lovely to see you, Carrie, and I hope things are good for you there. I might have to open the door because the cat depends. Yeah, I can hear you, Max. I can hear you. You're just yes. You've been sleeping quietly until you heard me talking, and then, oh, Paul Hornsey Pennell, we've got bluster. No, we've got gorgeous here. There's blue sky, sunshine, warm, but there is a bit of edge to the breeze. But I've been out and inspected all of my plants and everything's looking good. Why is it always raining in Tipton when it's nice and sunny where you are? Yeah, but alternatively, I bet we get the rain when you don't have it. So we've had rain overnight the past few nights, which my garden has loved, actually. So it's been perfect. Anyway, what's been going on? It's been terribly exciting. So last week, as you know, I had a week full of podcast interviews, lots of exciting stuff going on. So that all went really well. And today I'm prepping for a webinar I'm running tomorrow for soon-to-be graduates. And this is where I'd like a bit of help from you, actually, which is, what do you wished you had known before you entered the workplace? And because Paul's never formally been in a formal workplace, you're not allowed to answer, Paul, probably. But for the rest of you, and if you're watching on replay, #replay, I'd love to hear from you. Because I'm running a session with soon-to-be graduates, getting them kind of ready for the workplace and getting them used to the fact that they will probably experience the extroversion bias once they hit the workplace, and to be prepared for it. So I've got a really good presentation lined up, and I'd love to include the things you wished you had known. So if any of you have anything like that, then do pop it in the comments live if you're here, and if you're watching on replay, #replay, and just let me know. Because obviously I'd like to include some real experiences of people who've been through the mill. I know I've got enough experiences to share, but it's nice to include other people's experiences. Sorry, that's my cat headbutting me now. Yes, I know you're there, Max. Today I had notification that a journalist wants to talk to me next Monday, about how you can really be yourself, and get that sense of belonging in the workplace. So it was a general request, and I, of course, responded to it in terms of, well, we can if we're allowed to be our introverted selves and play to our strengths. So that kind of really helped. And she's come back and said, love your take on it. Can we talk next week? So that's really good. And then yesterday I had two exciting things happen. The first was I was interviewed for the Training Journal podcast, and he opened up the conversation with me by saying, I've published some of your stuff, haven't I? And I thought, that's good. He remembers that. I know I've got a fairly memorable name, but he obviously remembered that, which was good. And he said, no doubt we'll hear from you again. And it went really well. So I'm delighted with that, because that's obviously listened to by people like me. Thanks, Carrie. People like me in that community. And then in the afternoon, I had a radio interview. Cat's going to try and get out the open window now. If you get out, Max, you won't be able to turn around and get back in. Oh, well, maybe you will. I'm up on the first floor in our back bedroom. I'm moving back into the office next week. But for the moment, he thinks he can get out there. So we'll see what happens. And then yesterday afternoon, you may remember me recording a piece for the Health and Wellbeing show that's happening on the 20th of May. It's an all-day show, and some of you, I know, Jen, you've got free tickets to it, so some of you managed to snag yourself a free ticket, which is great. I was interviewed for the radio show that's going to be running throughout that day, and he was so complimentary. He said, will you ring in and turn up live, because we're also going to be airing the short clips that I've run in terms of interviews. But he said, you're so good at this. Will you phone in and show up live, and we'll put you on the radio live? And I thought, hey, that's really nice too. So I'm kind of getting used to this not lurking business. And yet I'm in a challenge at the moment, which is around website creation, where there are something like 700 people. Don't contribute much there. So it's still dependent on where and if I feel it's going to really drain my energy. So I'm not an ex-lurker. I don't think I'll ever be an ex-lurker. And I know Paul and I have talked about this before, about, you know, lurking is sometimes a part of introversion anyway. But what I'm really proud of, and able to sit here and hand on heart say I'm really proud of, is volunteering to show up in places where I know it's going to start making a difference. And my podcast episode this week, which will be released on Thursday, is around really starting to understand our potential. And in that, I talk about the fact that, you know, as employers and employees, we kind of get told what our potential is somehow. We don't get to co-create it. We don't get to explore it for ourselves. So because last week was about, you know, do you have untapped potential? I had a few questions in going, don't know, because I don't quite know what my potential is. So I've backtracked on this episode, and I'm talking about, well, what is potential anyway? And I found that such a useful thing to do for my own benefit, actually. Because what it got me thinking about was, it's not the skills development. That's the bit that we kind of, you know, what we want to do is normally taken care of. That's the bit we can often do quite quickly. But the bit for me that I really found useful was thinking about my potential in terms of who do I want to be and how do I want to be. And I've shared, it's quite a vulnerable share, I think, on the podcast for Thursday. I shared quite a lot about how I want to be, and how I want to be kind in deed and word and thought. I'm kind in some of those, but not all of them. How I want to be supportive of myself and others. And I recognize I'm really supportive of others, but sometimes not so supportive of me. So I know I need to do some work there. And then I got onto stuff that's no doubt going to raise a few eyebrows, in that I want to move, and these are the words that came to me, I want to move with the elegance of a retired ballet dancer. And I just noticed my whole posture changes when I even think about that. And I want to dance. What word did I use? Unashamedly, kind of, you know, with gay abandon almost. So I want to do that whole thing about dance like no one's listening, like no one's watching. So there's a really some interesting stuff that came out of who do I want to be and how do I want to be. Then I got onto the really big stuff, and the really big stuff for me was, and what's my legacy? Because once I understand how I want to be and who I want to be and what legacy I want to leave, I can then ensure that what I'm doing is showing up every day in order to deliver on in order to create the legacy that I'm intending on leaving behind. And that made so much sense to me. And it's the first time I've thought about that for a long time. Thanks, Jeannie. Yeah, she says, or Jenny, she said, love it in terms of the kind of who I want to be, how I want to be. So I think it's only a short episode, but I think it's going to be a lovely episode for people to lock into and start to think about, so what is their potential? And it's not about I thought about the be, do, have stuff, which is how we often think about potential, but have somehow for me doesn't sit with potential. It feels like it's the result of me living up to my potential, of me actually creating that legacy that I want to create. So I'm not interested so much in the have. I trust that that will appear if I'm being who I want to and need to be, if I'm and how I want to be, and setting my intentions to be that way so that I can create the legacy. Thank you. Paul's just said, nice, have such a legacy already being laid down. And it does feel like that. In fact, I talk about the fact that, the whole ikigai and finding my purpose. Once I really got to that point, it feels like my purpose almost has a life of its own. It's unstoppable. So I can't help but actually, do more, to create more, to leave more of a legacy. Because it is like, an immovable, a kind of, it's in train, it's in motion, it's unstoppable. Thank you, Jen. It felt really nice recording it, so I hope it lands well with people, because it's one of those that I think I'm going to come back to, and I think is going to be an integral part of people really starting to sort out what their legacy is too. So that's probably enough from me today. I've got a really nice week this week. As I say, I've got this piece with the graduates tomorrow. So if you have thought about, oh, thanks, Jen. Let me just share that. Take some time to really think about what your strengths are rather than playing to what strengths you think are needed. And I've absolutely put that in there. And I've also talked about the importance of understanding what your strengths contribute, so how they add value, so that what we can also do then is find the language to articulate our strengths. Because I think one of the things I've noticed for me as an introvert is that I often apologize, or I used to, I don't anymore, but I used to apologize for being introvert. So apologize for being quiet, apologize for not pushing myself forward. And actually, I don't need to. Matt, playing with a crystal on the windowsill. Now he's going to leave. Now he's created havoc. Go on, off you go, mate. So that's enough from me. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Once I've got through this week, I've got, as I say, the webinar tomorrow, some more podcasts, and another webinar to record, and another article to write. So it's brilliant. And I'm loving what I'm doing. Thank you for your support. And thank you for helping me get to 10,000 downloads for the podcast. I'm so chuffed with that, so thrilled with it. And of course, it's down to you and, the people like you who are listening. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. See you all next week.